Blessed One Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my mental continuum. Please nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you, may all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dhamma flourish forevermore.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. And we're now in the, let's see, fifth of the first set of 6 classes on heart-soul practice. And we're going to spend this week and next week looking at the practice of relying upon the Dharma protector. Okay, so I'm very much looking forward to today. In the next 6 classes, we won't have any explanation of the Dharma protector. We're going to go back to looking at the Guru Yoga of Jaisangkapa from the point of view of highest yoga tantra practice. So we'll just have these 2 classes on the Dharma protector. Fatin will teach next week's class. Okay, so first thing, why do we need to rely upon a protector? Dharma protector specifically. What do we need protection from? What's the function of the Dharma protector? So it's been the practice of Mahayanists for a very long time to rely upon a Dharma protector. And a Dharma protector is a manifestation or an emanation of a Buddha or a Bodhisattva. And their main job, their main function is to avert our outer and inner obstacles, okay, and to arrange all the necessary conditions that we need for our practice. So our inner and outer conditions. When we think about conditions, we often think about like outer things, like our situation, time, so forth. But there's also the inner conditions, the conditions of merit and so forth that we need to support the growth of our Dharma realizations. Okay, so this is the function of the Dharma protector, to basically work on our outer and inner conditions, averting obstacles and so forth. So we need protection, wouldn't you agree? We need a Dharma protector's influence, power, blessings, because we're easily influenced, aren't we? And we're influenced in a number of ways. We're influenced by our circumstances. So if things don't go well, we can easily become discouraged, of course. So we need some protection from discouragement. If we are associating with certain people, we easily are influenced by their lifestyle, their views, and so forth. And so we need to have some protection from being influenced in negative ways. There could be some people who disagree with our spiritual choices and want to debate us. I hope you don't have anybody in your life like that, but they may try to inject some doubt into our minds about how much time we're spending on our spiritual practice and how important is it and these kinds of things, and we can be influenced by them. So we need some protection from this kind of influence. I mean, really what I'm talking about in the end is kind of our mind being influenced by delusion and our mind being influenced by karma. So we have habits of our mind, don't we? We have tendencies. We all have kind of different personal tendencies. Some of us, I don't know, may tend to be quite patient. Anybody here tend to be patient? I'm sure, yes. You wouldn't say that you are. You're like, all my other delusions. But yeah, I think we tend to practice moral discipline, tend to practice patience, giving. So we're Mahayana Buddhists. So we have these good karmic tendencies, these good things we are working on, okay? But we also have tendencies towards anger, discouragement, anxiety, jealousy, excessive or deluded doubts. We have these tendencies towards certain delusions, okay? We also have we have the tendency that is similar to the cause, okay? So in terms of our actions, so from the karma we've created before, one of the effects is that we have a personal tendency towards certain actions. Some people may have a tendency towards lying, some people have a tendency towards stealing. I hope you don't have any of these tendencies. Maybe before you met Dharma you did, and then you realize the error of your ways, okay? But we understand that we have karmic tendencies and familiarity with certain delusions, and so we're influenced by this based on many kind of situations, outer conditions, influenced by the strength of these habits within our mind. And so it's definite for these kinds of reasons that we need some power. We need the inner power, and we need the protection that comes from the Dharma protector, to protect our mind from the influence of negativity. Okay. And of course, to arrange circumstances in a suitable way. I think it says somewhere in the text, however, that we think certain circumstances would be suitable, but they may not always be. Sometimes certain challenges in our life may be the most suitable circumstances for us, and so those circumstances aren't necessarily changing. We have the karma for them, but also they can be very, very important for us in terms of purification and growing in our Dharma practice. So just kind of getting rid of all of the bad conditions in our life is not what Dorje Shugden is going to do, you know. He's going to work with our karma, he's going to work with our mind to help us gain Dharma realizations. That is a Dharma protector, okay? That's their main purpose, is working on this averting of obstacles and gathering conditions so that we gain wisdom, so that we gain Dharma realizations. Some people, I can't remember who said this, I kind of liked it. They think of the protector, they think of Dorje Shugden as like the Lojong Buddha. You know, there's a Lojong, there's a practices for transforming adversity into the path and growing in our spiritual experience, a realization of Lam Rim and so forth. And so Dorje Shugden will bless our mind to develop wisdom so that we can transform whatever difficulties may be coming up in our mind or in our life. He's going to give us the power through his blessings to have the strength of mind to transform any difficulty. So this is the real purpose of the Dharma protector, is to give us this spiritual power. Okay, so of course we can see from the visual representations of the protector that they're displaying quite a lot of strength and power, and in a little bit I'll go through some of the visualization, the meaning of the form. Whereas we could look up here to Buddha Manjushri at the top, and he's got a sword, but it's generally quite peaceful. You know, Buddha Shakyamuni is very, very peaceful. Most of the Buddhas are very, very peaceful. They're not demonstrating physically this power, expression of power. But we definitely need this inner power or this inner strength. And so we rely upon a Dharma protector. So I wanted to read one of the previous lives of the Dharma protector, previous incarnations of the Dharma protector, because here in this explanation of this incarnation, it explains how Buddhas can appear in all kinds of forms. Okay, because this question comes out. Well, why? Why this form? What's the function, purpose like this? Okay, so Dorje Shugden is a manifestation of the wisdom Buddha, Tsongkhapa. And Tsongkhapa, we understand, is a manifestation of Buddha Shakyamuni, and in essence, all the Buddhas. Okay, Buddha Shakyamuni introduced all these various Buddhas to us. Buddha Shakyamuni was like the essence of all Buddhas for us, and he appeared in different forms, such as Tsongkhapa, and Tsongkhapa in turn appears as Dorje Shugden. So here, I'll read a little bit. So Bhutan Rinchen Drub was later reborn in central Tibet as Dolzen Drakpa Gyaltsen, who became one of Tsongkhapa's principal disciples. Like Tsongkhapa, he was a very pure practitioner of the Vinaya, and so he was called Dolzen, which is short for Dulwa Zinpa, or holder of the Vinaya. So sometimes we refer to Dorje Shugden as Dolzen Dorje Shugden. Okay, this means he's a holder of the Vinaya. Vinaya refers to moral discipline. Okay, moral discipline. So Dolzen refers to holder of the Vinaya, or pure practitioner of moral discipline. So this incarnation was named Dolzen Drakpa Gyaltsen. So although Dolzen showed the aspect of being a disciple of Tsongkhapa, he was in fact an emanation of Manjushri. Thus, both teacher and disciple were emanations of Manjushri. From the point of view of ordinary beings, this may seem a contradiction, but in reality it is not. So that's from our point of view. How can there be the student and the one who's learning and the one who's teaching? How can they be the same person? It's hard for us ordinarily to understand how Buddhas can have countless, infinite emanations. But here it says, when he was teaching the sutras and tantras, Buddha would sometimes manifest as both the teacher and the principal interlocutors who helped the discourse to evolve. So we understand this from the Heart Sutra, or Essence of Wisdom Sutra, that it's through the power of Buddha that Shariputra asked this question, and through the power of Buddha's inspiration that Avalokiteshvara gave his answer. So we can say that it's through the power of Buddha that this whole thing evolved. It seemed to be through two different people, but in fact it was through the power of Buddha that Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara had this discussion, we could say, and this teaching evolved. So that's related to the Heart Sutra. Here in the text it says, in one of the Tantras, Buddha Vajradhara said, I am the teacher and I am the disciple. I am the speaker and I am the listener. There are Tantras that were requested by Vajrapani, who was an emanation of Vajradhara, and often among the audience there are many other emanations. Since Manjushri is a Buddha, he can also manifest countless emanations simultaneously. And so it is not impossible that both Tsongkhapa and Dolzin Dragpa Gyaltsen were his emanations. So, I mean, in a kind of simple way, I find this kind of amusing, that sometimes we don't know what to ask. So sometimes I ask questions and nobody has any questions. So then in order for the teaching to come about, the question has to be asked. But if we kind of get obstructed through various reasons and we don't ask questions, then the teaching can't come out or evolve. And Buddha Shakyamuni taught quite often in this way, being asked a question and then giving a Dharma teaching an answer, maybe in a whole discourse like this. Okay, so because we have our obstacles, Buddhas have to emanate to perform this kind of function of question and answer, so the teaching, can come. So Dolzin Dragpa Gyaltsen's main activity was to help the teachings of Tsongkhapa to flourish. He worked to remove obstacles and to gather favorable conditions for the dissemination of these precious teachings. It was Tsongkhapa's wish that the special dharma derived from Manjushri's wisdom should spread far and wide in Dolzin as his devoted disciple worked tirelessly to fulfill his guru's wish. Tsongkhapa traveled extensively in response to invitations to give teachings, and also engaged in profound retreats for the purposes of writing and meditating. And while he was away, he would leave Dolzin in charge of his affairs. It was Dolzin Dragpa Gyaltsen, for example, who organized the building of Ganden Monastery. Extraordinary. So Buddha Shakyamuni, in fact, predicted that Tsongkhapa would appear and he would establish this monastery called Ganden Monastery. But it wasn't Tsongkhapa himself that organized the building. It was his disciple, Dolzin Dragpa Gyaltsen, who in reality was an emanation of Tsongkhapa, Buddha Shakyamuni himself. Okay, so Tsongkhapa couldn't do everything in just his teacher form. Okay, so he had to appear, or Manjushri appeared, or we can say Buddha Shakyamuni appeared in these forms to help the flourishing of Dharma, to gather all the necessary conditions for the teachings to flourish. So rather than demonstrating miracle powers, Dolzin demonstrated how to practice pure Dharma by relying sincerely upon his spiritual guide, maintaining pure moral discipline, and so forth. Like Tsongkhapa, he showed that there is no contradiction between the external practices of Vinaya, so these are the moral discipline practices, Vinaya, the internal practices of the Bodhisattva's path, and the secret practices of the generation and completion stages of highest Yoga Tantra. So he showed how to integrate all of these practices together, okay? And the unmistaken Dharma of Lam Rim, Lojong, and Mahamudra, how to integrate all of this together correctly. So Tsongkhapa demonstrated this, and also Dolzin Dragpa Gyaltsen, this emanation of Dorje Shugden, or previous incarnation, also demonstrated this. So Tsongkhapa's disciples believed that Dolzin Dragpa Gyaltsen and Tsongkhapa were equal in terms of their realizations, abilities, and wisdom. When Tsongkhapa passed away, his throne was offered first to Dolzin, but Dolzin declined the honor and offered it instead to Gyaltsabje. Gyaltsabje is depicted here to the right of Tsongkhapa. This is a peaceful expression. Kyodribje is to the left. So it was passed on. Dolzin said, no, I decline. I pass this responsibility on to Gyaltsabje, saying, you should become the second holder of the Ganden throne. You should teach the Dharma of Tsongkhapa and spread it far and wide, and I will help your work to be successful by eliminating obstacles and arranging the right conditions. So wonderful. So we can see that this person was an emanation of the wisdom Buddha, a Buddha, but showing the special function of gathering the conditions, helping to flourish the Dharma through arranging everything that is necessary. So we understand this, right? We understand we need all the conditions to be arranged, inner and outer, for Dharma to grow or to flourish both within our heart and within our community. So if there's no one who takes on the responsibility to organize things, so all of you have volunteer jobs here at the temple and do different things from either regularly or from time to time. So if you didn't organize those conditions, then nothing would happen. It would not work, right? The flourishing of Dharma would not work, no matter like how well I prepared a teaching and came and how good it was or so forth like this. That all the necessary conditions need to be arranged, both inner and outer, for our success in our spiritual life. And so we rely both upon Tsongkhapa and Dorje Shugden. Okay? We rely upon Tsongkhapa to receive the blessings of all the Buddhas, to help us develop the realizations of wisdom, compassion, spiritual power, the realizations of the three principal aspects of the path, and so forth like this. Okay, we rely upon his teachings, we study, we meditate, memorize like this. So rely upon Tsongkhapa. But then we also rely upon Dorje Shugden, because it's through his power that we're going to have success in gaining realizations and causing the Dharma to flourish. Okay? So it has been the tradition to rely upon wisdom Dharma protectors since, well, for a very long time, but particularly in our tradition from the time of Tsongkhapa. There's different emanations of the wisdom Buddha that we have relied upon, and at this time, many great teachers have said that it's Dorje Shugden who we have the strongest karmic link with, and that we should rely upon him. Okay, so of course there's emanations such as Kalarupa, and previously and in other traditions they do rely upon this Dharma protector. But in our tradition, for the last several generations, you might say, the emphasis has been upon relying upon Dorje Shugden as our principal Dharma protector. As it says in the text, different monasteries in Tibet would rely upon different Dharma protectors. So we can say that like our monastery of the New Kadampa tradition relies upon Dorje Shugden. And the monasteries of other traditions rely upon different emanations of the Buddhas. But this is the instruction coming from our lineage gurus, and so this is our practice. So, so also from this chapter, the previous incarnations of the Dharma protector, it says, to guide living beings along the spiritual path, Dorje Shugden manifests many different aspects. Sometimes he appears in a peaceful aspect, sometimes in a wrathful aspect, sometimes as an ordained person, sometimes as a lay person, sometimes as a bodhisattva, sometimes as a Hinayanist, sometimes as a non-Buddhist, and sometimes even as a non-human being. Since there are so many different emanations of the Buddhas, it is difficult to tell who is an emanation and who is not. The only person we can be certain about is ourself. So are you an emanation? You'll know. You'd never say if you were. Some of you might be, I don't know. But we know whether we are or not. But we don't know who other people are. And because Buddhas have, how do we say, they have fully developed their compassion, complete realization of bodhicitta, they will never stop working for living beings. Because they have removed all obstructions from their mind, they can manifest in whatever form, and they will constantly. They will never stop. They will never stop emanating for the purpose of all of us to attain ultimate happiness and temporary happiness too. Anything that will help us, that will lead us, even such as good health and so forth like this. The Buddhas will fulfill all of these needs and wishes out of compassion. They have to. You see, the compassion is such that they cannot not emanate. They have to emanate like this. They have to appear. So we know that if we have strong compassion, we can't help ourselves but to go and protect someone. If we have strong compassion, we're driven right away, right? And so Buddha is exactly the same. Out of their great compassion, they're constantly appearing for us in various ways. So we can ask, who is an emanation? Who are the emanations in our life? Sometimes it seems like there's many emanations. Maybe you get into this view, you start to see many people who are doing extraordinary things, who are helping others, who are helping people in our family, helping us like this. And when we start to open up our eyes of faith to see the help that we receive, it's incredibly inspiring to see that we've so much protection. Dorje Shugden is like this, appearing constantly, guiding, protecting, like this. And we can open up our eyes of faith to this reality, to his presence in our life. As it says here, each Buddha has the ability to manifest as many emanations as there are living beings. This ability is necessary because if Buddhas remained only in one form without any emanations, they would not be able to help all living beings according to their needs. In Meeting of Father and Son Sutra, Buddha Shakyamuni says, Buddhas manifest in many different aspects, such as Brahma, Indra, and sometimes even as Amara, or in the aspect of an evil person, but worldly people do not recognize these emanations. So if there's somebody whom you have some great difficulty with, then you can try to employ this line of reasoning, thinking, maybe they're an emanation. What are they teaching me? I mean, do we need more patience, perhaps? Do we need to develop some renunciation for some samsara sufferings? Do we need to develop some deeper experience of equalizing, exchanging self with others? Yes. And a difficult person for us is a great opportunity to develop these kinds of realizations, We don't need to obviously put ourselves into harm's way. This is not what Dorje Shugden is doing. Okay, he's not giving us someone to harm us. So we should never think that. Some people go extreme in their thinking and think, oh, Dorje Shugden's emanated this harmful person for me. But why would he do that? Because he's a Buddha, his nature is compassion. Why would he emanate someone who's like harming you? Never do that. Geshe Kelsang clarified this at one point. He said, Dorje Shugden cannot harm any living being. So we don't want to go extreme in our thinking about this. But in situations we're not really harmed, we're just unhappy, just don't like it. Well, we can think, oh, who knows? Maybe this is Dorje Shugden. Maybe this is an emanation for me. In what ways am I being encouraged to grow or tested in terms of developing my realizations? So we're given this way of thinking that we don't know who the emanations of Buddha are, but yet we do know they pervade everywhere. We don't know who, but they're amongst us, everywhere. So we can open up our eyes of faith to the existence of these protectors, emanations of the protector. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is share a little bit about Dorje Shugden and his retinue, and to look at these different manifestations so we can understand more the power of the practice and how we can tune in to receiving different blessings. Okay, so in this practice here at Heart Jewel, we've completed the first part, which is the Guru Yoga of Jaisangkapa. We've gone up through the middle of page 8 in dedication. And then we invite Dorje Shugden and his retinue, okay, his entire entourage, you might say, okay, his whole family. So it says here, I have the clarity of the Yidam. What does that mean? That means that if we have received the highest Yoga Tantra empowerment, we can self-generate as the Yidam, which means deity, our personal deity. So as Haruka or Vajragini, and then invite Dorje Shugden to the space before us. Now, if we were going to do longer practice, such as wish-fulfilling jewel or Kangso, melodious drum, then there are other practices related to highest Yoga Tantra, blessing offerings, inner offerings, things like this, that then we could perform with the necessary blessings of the highest Yoga Tantra empowerments. But in Heart Jewel, it's like a common sadhana for anyone. You don't have to receive the empowerments. But here we're saying we have the clarity of the Yidam. We are one with the deity. Okay, so then, before me, in the center of red and black fire and wind, on a lotus and sun, trampling demons and obstructors, is a terrifying lion which is powerful and alert. Upon this sits the great king Dorje Shugden, the supreme heart jewel of Dharma protectors. His body is clothed in the garments of a monk, and on his head he wears a round yellow hat. His hands hold a sword and a heart of compassion. To his followers he shows an expression of delight, but to subdue demons and obstructors he displays a wrathful manner. He is surrounded by a vast assembled retinue, such as his attendant, Kache Marpo, and so forth. So we visualize. This is a brief description of visualizing the protector and the retinue. And then we invite them. So this is what's called the in-front generation. We do this all the time. So in Jaisangkapa, we visualize him, and then we invited him to come to the space before. We engage in the 7 limbs practice. We're speaking to Jaisangkapa, offering our prayers and so forth. So now we invite Dorje Shugden. Okay? And then in the same way, we visualize and then invite him to actually appear together with our visualization. So as it says, light rays from my heart instantly invite the wisdom beings from the sphere of nature and from all the different palaces where they abide. They become inseparable from the commitment beings. You'll hear this phrase a lot, commitment beings and wisdom beings, commitment beings and wisdom. So commitment beings is the deity or the being we have the commitment to visualize. Okay? And the wisdom beings is actual Buddhas. Okay? They're actual wisdom Dharmakaya. Okay? So we're inviting them to mix with our visualization, to actually be present. So visualizing and then inviting them to come. So, Dorje Shugden and the retinue. So in the center, we have Dorje Shugden. Okay? And here, like on the shrine, it's not quite depicted exactly as you visualize because the way the space works out. Okay? But the painting over there explains. So some light radiates from Dorje Shugden in the center, in front of him. Okay, and then in front of him appears Vairochana Shugden riding a white elephant. So you can see to his right here in the statues. But in the visualization, these other 4 deities are in the cardinal directions. Okay, in the front, to the right, behind, and to the left. So we have Vairochana Shugden, Ratna Shugden, Karma Shugden, and Pema Shugden. Okay, so together, Dorje Shugden and these 4, we call them the 5 lineages of Dorje Shugden. Okay, these are the 5 main deities of Dorje Shugden, and they have some very, very special functions. Okay, very, very special powers. So Vairochana Shukden, who's in the front, has a special power to pacify obstacles, okay? Inner and outer obstacles. The white color symbolizes the power of pacifying. Okay, it's very gentle and peaceful. And then we have Ratna Shukden. You can see up top, Ratna Shukden rides the golden palomino, and he holds a bowl of jewels and so forth. And this symbolizes his ability to increase our good fortune, our merit, our wisdom, our spiritual realizations, but also to bestow necessary wealth and good outer conditions. Okay, so this is a Ratna Shukden. Ratna means jewel. Okay, so Ratna jewel, we can remember that. Ratna jewel, increasing good fortune, inner and outer wealth. Then we have Pema Shukden. So Pema Shukden appears behind him. Okay, and Pema Shukden rides a dragon. He's red Pema himself is red in color, and symbolizes controlling actions or controlling attainments. So he bestows the ability for us to control our delusions, which we need, right? We need the ability to control our mind, to control our delusions. So Pema Shukden does this. And then Karma Shukden is explained as sometimes dark red or even black. Okay, he rides a Garuda, and he symbolizes wrathful actions. Okay, so the power to avert evil forces, evil spirits, powerful protection like this. So, what they help us to accomplish altogether, these 5 deities, are the attainments of pacifying, increasing, controlling, wrathful actions, so I've just explained, and the supreme attainment. Dorje Shugden himself bestows the supreme attainment. So what is the supreme attainment? Enlightenment. Okay. So we need all of these abilities when working with our mind, don't we? Sometimes we need to tell ourselves, stop. This controlling action. Sometimes we need to be gentle, it's pacifying. Sometimes we need to be encouraging, this is like increasing. Okay? Sometimes we need to be wrathful. Have you been wrathful with yourself? You stop it. There's the practice on blaming our delusions. Identifying the delusions is not ourself, but it's like an evil demon, and then giving them hell. Really blaming them. The story of Geshe Ben Gungyal. He would say to himself, who do you think you are? A monk, or this or that? What kind of mind did you have today? You're a charlatan. But he gave himself a talking to, right? Being wrathful. So we're not being wrathful with ourselves. We're not saying you're bad, terrible. Why would we do that? That's not empowering to our mind. Wrathful actions are empowering to our mind, giving us the strength to subdue delusions. And I guarantee you that if you do this practice, like identifying your self-cherishing mind, its faults, seeing it as like an evil spirit, but not as yourself, and then like giving it hell. You self-cherishing, you're like this, like this, like this, like this. You can use all the bad words you want. What you'll experience is the strength of your self-cherishing diminishing like this. It's so big. It fills us, But it will be subdued, okay? That wrathful action will cause that self-cherishing to settle down. And it's the same with any delusion, like this. So pacifying, increasing, controlling, wrathful, and supreme attainments. So next then, in the retinue, we have what's called the 9 attractive mothers. Okay, these are goddesses. And these goddesses assist us in our tantric practice. That's their function, is to help us to experience bliss and emptiness. So there's 9 of them, these goddesses, and they symbolize the purified 4 elements and 5 aggregates. Okay, earth, water, fire, wind, the 4 elements, and we understand the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, consciousness, like this. Okay, So they help us to purify all elements, aggregates, and experience everything in the nature of great bliss. Okay, is their function to assist in our tantra practice. In general, there are many abilities, but this is just like in general. So then we have the 8 guiding monks. Okay, so the 9 attractive mothers, the 8 guiding monks. So in the picture, the painting over there, you'll see the kind of goddesses below on the clouds, and then below the kind of circle of clouds there, you'll see the 8 guiding monks. Okay, and then below them, you'll see the 10 youthful and wrathful attendants. Okay, so these are the main deities of the mandala, all depicted there. So the monks, what is their function? Generally, the function of relying upon them is to help us in our practice of sutra. Okay, whereas the goddesses are helping us within our practice of tantra, the monks are helping us in our practice of sutra. Okay, just in general. Also, if we're going to be teaching, like through receiving their blessings and so forth, it helps us to give good teachings, correct teachings, and so forth like this, to pass on the teachings well. Also, we can understand that the nature of these 8 monks is of the 8 great bodhisattvas. So at the time of Buddha, there were 8 principal Mahayana disciples, such as Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, Vajrapani, and so forth, like this. So in the back of Heart Jewel, it's explained who these 8 great bodhisattvas are. And it's these 8 great bodhisattvas that continued on the Mahayana lineage, okay? The teachings, Mahayana teachings of Buddha. And so here, they're depicted in this form, helping us to continue and furthering the lineage, gaining experience of sutra, and so forth. So then we have the 10 youthful and wrathful attendants. And these are the nature of 10 wrathful deities. And their function is to help us in our virtuous activities, okay? To help us gain success in whatever virtuous activities we are engaging in, especially the virtuous activities of flourishing Dharma, okay? So if we have a big project, like right now, we have a big project to renovate, finish renovating the building, then hopefully some emanations of the 10 youthful and wrathful attendants show up to help us. And, you know, I've seen this many times. I've seen people show up and then totally disappear just for the purposes of helping us with our practical needs. You know, for instance, when I was in Washington, D.C., we were moving into a new facility. It was a really quite small community at the time. And we needed to get some electrical work, going. And this man, I don't know how he learned about it, but maybe through our newsletter or something. He'd never been to the center. He was a master electrician. He showed up. He was incredibly peaceful. We were all a bit stressed, like, we're running around. He was so chill, so peaceful like this. He did everything that we asked perfectly, and then never showed up again. Who are these people? We have a choice. We can think, too bad they didn't show up. Oh, what did we do wrong? Did we scare them off or something? No? Or we can think, Dorje Shugden, in this form of one of his 10 youthful and wrathful attendants, appeared to help us with our practical needs to set up this new center, because we just didn't have the ability ourselves. We're a bit helpless. So like this, things work, these emanations appear. So these are the deity, the principal deity, and the retinue. Oh, so there's Kache Marpo, Kache Marpo is called the youthful and wrathful attendant, okay? And his job is to keep us all in line, basically. Okay? in the monasteries, they had this person. This is what I was told by Gensamten. This person called the Gegyu. The Gegyu was like the moral discipline guide of the monastery, and like keep everybody in line and make sure they're doing everything properly. And so I always think of Kache Marpo as like that. He's a wrathful attendant who keeps all of us followers in line, practicing, giving us a bit of a telling off sometimes, but also being incredibly loving at other times. So, an attendant to the retinue. So, this is Dorje Shugden's retinue. So there's another level of meaning to Dorje Shugden and his retinue that is quite beautiful to understand. Okay, and it's that Dorje Shugden and Jesung Kappa are the same being, the same nature, in that basically they have the same body mandala. So for some of you this may be obscure, and some of you this may be quite meaningful. But we can understand that deities, there's some deities that are explained as having a body mandala. That means that parts of their body appear as other deities. So in the practice of Haruka body mandala, we understand this, there's a 62 deities of the body mandala. Okay, and they all appear as these different deities, the deities of the 5 wheels. So we can meditate on the body of the deity in this very special form, and this helps us to purify all of our channels, our winds, our drops, and so forth, like this, to overcome ordinary appearances and conceptions of our body and mind. So Jesung Kappa also has a body mandala, okay? And the deities of his body mandala appear as these 32 deities of Dorje Shugden's retinue. They're the same. The same. Just again, looking differently, having different appearances, different forms. But again, Buddhas can appear in any form necessary, and they do for us. So this is another way in which we can understand that Jesung Kappa is Dorje Shugden, that Jesung Kappa has appeared as Dorje Shugden. That Jesung Kappa, who is the nature of all the Buddhas, appears as Dorje Shugden, who also is the nature of all Buddhas, like this. Okay? So, in Heart Jewel, this is explained. So this comes from the chapter, The Nature and Function of the Dharma Protector. And it explains, it starts off by explaining the Guru Yoga of Jesung Kappa and how that's presented in the practice offering to the spiritual guide. And that we have a term for Jesung Kappa in this form, having the different Buddhas at his heart. It's Lama Losang Tabwang Dorje Cheng. It's similar to Guru Samati Buddha Haruka. Jesung Kappa is Buddha at his heart, and then Buddha Vajradhara at his heart, like this. The unification of 3 holy beings. So then it says, there are 32 deities within the body mandala of Lama Losang Tabwang Dorje Cheng. And it is these deities who manifest as the 32 deities of Dorje Shugden's mandala. This was explained by J. Pabon Kappa. And J. Pabon Kappa was a spiritual guide, a Venerable Geshe-la's spiritual guide. So it's like 2 lineages, 2 generations before in the lineage. Okay. So J. Pabon Kappa explained in his prayer to Dorje Shugden the aggregates, elements, sources, and limbs of Lama Losang Tabwang Dorje Cheng appear in the aspect of the 5 lineages of Dorje Shugden and their retinues. Realizing that in reality, I am practicing the yoga of the 32 deities of the body mandala, I offer this practice to you, O 5 lineages of Dorje Shugden. Please accept it with delight. the way the 32 deities of Dorje Shugden's mandala relate to the deities of Lama Losang Tobang Dorje Cheng's body mandala is shown in the chart in Appendix 2. So if you're curious, you can go and see all the detail. I have no time to get through all the detail right now. But all the detail, okay, between Lama Losang or Josung Kappa's body mandala and Dorje Shugden's retinue are explained one by one. Okay. But just kind of simply, it says here, of the deities of the 5 lineages of Dorje Shugden, the principal deity is Dolzin Dorje Shugden. He is a manifestation of the aggregate of consciousness of Josung Kappa, of Lama Losang Tobang Dorje Cheng. Vairochana Shugden is the manifestation of the form aggregate of Lama Losang Tobang Dorje Cheng. Ratna Shugden is a manifestation of his aggregate of feeling. Pema Shugden is a manifestation of his aggregate of discrimination. And Karma Shugden is a manifestation of his aggregate of compositional factors. Okay. What this means in a simple way is that Josung Kappa is the nature of all Buddhas. We say this a lot. Okay. How can we understand this in a more kind of precise way? So there's what's called the 5 Buddha families. There's 5 particular Buddhas, okay, and they are the embodiment of the purified 5 aggregates of all enlightened beings: form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. Okay, so the purified 5 aggregates of all enlightened beings appear as the 5 Buddha families. Vairochana, Buddha Vairochana, Buddha Ratna Sambhava, Buddha Amitabha, Buddha Amoghasiddhi, Buddha Akshobhya. Okay, these are the 5 family Buddhas, we say. Okay, and so these purified 5 aggregates appear as the principal 5 deities. Dorje Shugden is a purified aggregate of consciousness. Vairochana Shugden, purified aggregate of form. Ratna Shugden, purified aggregate of feeling. Pema Shugden, purified aggregate of discrimination. And Karma Shugden, purified aggregate of compositional factors. So the purified 5 aggregates of all enlightened beings appear as Josung Kappa and Dorje Shugden, like this. Okay. So for some of you, this may be incredibly obscure and excessively detailed, and that's fine. Then you don't need to relate to this too much right now. But for others of you, this might have deep meaning. It might help you to see that Josung Kappa, Dorje Shugden are the same nature, which is the completely purified 5 aggregates of all enlightened beings. The completely purified mind and body of all Buddhas. So now, it's a little bit like this. It's like an accordion. So I've stretched it out, so I've explained all the things, and now I got to go like this. So when you're practicing, then you can simply think, Dorje Shugden, 5 lineages of the nature of all enlightened beings. If you have this understanding that is more profound, then you can draw upon that. If you don't, that's fine. But over time, as we contemplate the form, this meaning we can bring into it, and we can make this connection that Dorje Shugden is a manifestation of all Buddhas. All Buddhas' bodies and minds, like this. Okay? When we visualize when we visualize Dorje Shugden, 5 lineages, and even more and more the rest, all the 32 deities in the mandala, then we visualize them, we can contemplate these things, and we engage in this analytical meditation, which leads us to this conclusion that Dorje Shugden is the nature of all Buddhas, as our spiritual guide is the nature of all Buddhas, as Josung Kappa, Guru Tsongkhapa is. Okay. So as we develop this, it will deepen our faith, and what it will do is it will deepen our experience of receiving blessings. Okay. So probably many of us are familiar with this little teaching, that the blessings we receive depend upon our mind of faith. If we see someone as ordinary, then we don't get much. If we see them as special, then we receive something more. If we see them as a bodhisattva, we receive something more. If we see them as a Buddha, we receive something more, like this. It's our mind of faith that enables us to receive more and more power of Buddha's blessings. So over time, as we contemplate the meaning of the visualization, we're opening up our faith, our pure view, and this will enable us then to draw upon the extraordinary power that is available to us through this practice. Sometimes the question comes, well, what about all the other deities, What about all the other deities? Tara and Avalokiteshvara, and I love the medicine Buddha practice, and etc., etc. So all this question. Well, okay, well, how do we deal with that? And so Atisha's advice is that we should practice in an integrated way, which is to regard any deity as the same nature as all enlightened beings. So that we're receiving the powerful blessings of all Buddhas in whatever practice we're doing. Instead of getting into this compartmentalized mind, like Tara's over here and Vajrasattva's here and Dorje Shugden's there, and there's all these kind of Buddhas and they're kind of floating around in space. They're all the same nature, which is enlightenment. They're appearing in these different forms, enlightened beings appearing in these different forms for our benefit, to help us develop spiritual realizations, the realizations of pacifying, increasing, controlling wrathful abilities, and the supreme attainment, which is enlightenment itself, like this. Okay? So we want to strive to develop this understanding, whatever practice we are doing, that the Buddha that we are meditating on is the nature of all Buddhas. Okay? But appearing in this form for specific benefit. So if we rely sincerely upon Tsongkhapa and Dorje Shugden in this way, and we generate ourselves as a personal deity, such as Haruka or Vajrayogini, we can keep our practice simple and do other practices from time to time, like for enjoyment, or for special reasons. But we can keep our practice simple and focused and build up familiarity with just a few number of practices, but receive so much benefit from within these simple practices. Okay. All right, I need to kind of wrap it up here. I guess the last thing I'll point out to you is that if you want to know more and more about the visualization and the meaning of Dorje Shugden's form and so forth, you can read a little bit in the book Heart Jewel. But I would say the best place to go is to this Siddhana, okay, to Kengso. There's so much detail in here. For instance, the extensive visualization is all explained over about 7 pages, I think, too. 4, 6. Yeah, 6 pages. Okay, everything with specificity. So if you like that, then go and you can read everything. This is on page 27, visualizing the 5 lineages of Dorje Shugden, together their retinues and mandala palaces. I think I've explained some of this in the Heart Jewel classes we've had, in the Kangso classes we've had. But for instance, if you go to look at the Sog offering, we make a Sog offering to each of the sets of deities in the mandala. So you'll see some special information there. And then there's one other section I wanted to point out. Ratna Shugden has his own special request for increasing attainments on page 87. So if you want to know more about Ratna Shugden and make some kind of connection with this increasing ability, then you can read this request and contemplate it. And sorry. I thought I marked it, but I guess I didn't. Okay, so on page 73, there is a praise to the 5 lineages of Dorje Shugden, which is a couple of pages long, and explains their form, this connection with the 5 aggregates, and the body mandala of Jason Kappa. So you may be interested to kind of learn more through these sources. So that's a little explanation of the first part. It's visualizing the retinue, inviting them to come to the space before. And then with a special just feeling of connection, some special understanding of Dorje Shugden, as I've just explained. Then the next part of Heart Rule is simply making offerings and requests. Okay, making many offerings, accumulating merit like this, requesting many special blessings and purposes, realizations like this. Okay, and through the practice of making offerings and making requests, we will receive the fulfillment of our wishes. One of the prayers is called the fulfillment of wishes. We will receive this. Okay, through accumulation of merit, through receiving blessings, purifying like this. All these attainments that we desire will be fulfilled, as it says. All the attainments I desire arise from merely remembering you, O wish-fulfilling jewel, protector of the Dharma, like this. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up here, and then Fatin will explain some more of the remainder of the heart jewel practice. So I hope this is helpful to you in some way. So why don't we have some discussion? You guys can break up into groups of maybe just 2s, I don't know, something like that. 3s, what would you like? 3s, 4s? It can be good. So turn to whoever's around you in groups of 2 to 4. Maybe I would say 3 or 4, and kind of discuss the teaching today and anything else about the Dharma Protector. Okay, time to wrap up discussion. Sorry it's not that long. Is there maybe one or two questions? Paka? Haha. Oh yes, yes. I did. I was going to explain that actually. Yeah. Let's see if I can remember. So actually, I have a list. So, um, offering alcohol. Here, I'll just read to you because otherwise I'll mess it up. Yeah. Offering alcohol is to overcome ordinary appearances and conceptions. Okay. Offering tea is to increase the red drops. Cake is to increase bliss of the body. Milk is to increase the white drops. And curd is to increase bliss of the mind. Okay, so it's really related to our tantra practice. It's an oral instruction. It's not written. No, it's not in Kangso. I have my little list. Yeah, so alcohol helps us to purify ordinary appearances and conceptions. And tea helps us to increase the red drops. Cakes is bliss of the body. Milk is the white drops. And curd is bliss of the mind. So this comes from Kadam Lucy. She gave this a couple of years ago. Explained this type of detail. So we're offering offering these delightful substances that sentient beings generally very much enjoy, and some of them very strong, such as alcohol, very, very strong substances. And so through this, we're basically creating the cause to overcome ordinary appearances, conceptions, all ordinary minds, and to generate great bliss. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because in general, these are offerings that induce bliss. Yeah, cake, tea, alcohol, these kinds of things. And so it's creating some particular causes to generate uncontaminated bliss, which is the most important part. Oh, golden drink. That's explained in this Siddhana. Yeah, so that's also to increase great bliss. Yeah, I think it says in all of the. So in Wish Fulfilling Jewel, it's explained, and then also in Kangso, it's explained. So it says, I offer this drink of nectar that bestows bliss. Right. So anyway, so we offer this blissful nectar to fulfill our wishes for great bliss and emptiness. Yes. It's a bowl of jewels. It's an offering. Yeah, you'll see in a lot of Tanka paintings, there's always offerings drawn in. So we're never like left with an image of Buddha, but without making an offering. So there's always this ritual to make some offerings. Like let's see up there in front of Guru Samati Buddha Haruka, there's a small table on which there's a mirror and some jewels and things like this. So it's all different offerings. Yeah, I don't know if they do. Well, maybe that one does. Yeah, I mean he does spit jewels. That's correct. But yeah, maybe the jewels are collected there at the bottom. I don't know for you to partake of. But like over in the painting, I think there's a selection of offerings that's set out. Yeah, yeah. There's a mirror. Yeah, that reflects all the forms throughout the universe. The Rupa Vajra goddesses. Yeah, and on the sun cushion there in the painting, there's lots of jewels strewn about. That could be, yeah, those are probably coming from the mongoose. So maybe in this one they're in a bowl. Yeah, why not? I've always just thought of them as the offerings. Yes. I think Brahmins predate Buddhism. Yeah. There's a hint, because I think that was before. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The meaning of that is that everything is one in emptiness. That despite the appearances of higher or lower, so you have Brahmins, the higher caste, and the outcast, the lowest, the untouchable caste, and so forth. That despite whatever the conventional classifications are, that ultimately all beings are of one nature in emptiness. So the meaning of that is to remind us of ultimate truth, emptiness. Yeah, it's lovely. It's very lovely. It's such a blessing. It's such to equalize ourselves and others totally through emptiness. That there is no separation. There's no higher or lower, better or worse. And it's quite special. Quite poetic way of saying it. The Brahmins, dogs, outcasts. It's very dramatic. It is. It evokes a kind of feeling. A lot of the words in the prayers are like that, aren't they? Quite dramatic. They're quite the imagery and so forth is quite beautiful and evokes special feeling. I didn't mention this, but I should. Is that and then we need to begin. um, is that the red and black fire and wind is called a protection circle. And the protection circle is something that shows up as well in highest yoga tantra practices. And so the protection circle is just this. It's basically like the sphere of protection in which we are held. So the red and black fire and wind, and in the center of which Dorje Shugden and the retinue appears and abides, this circles all of us, as we can imagine, as vast as space. Okay, and if we get into this practice, then we can also remember the protection circle at different times as a way of invoking blessings and protecting our mind from delusions and so forth, different senses of fear and danger. So we can visualize that we are within the protection circle of the deity, giving us this this guarding influence. Okay. And at the end of the practice, then we imagine that the mandala and deities all melt into light and melt into us and into the place where we have performed the practice. And we can go as much as we like with that, our family, our home, our environment like this. So we've invited them, and then in the end they dissolve into us and the environment. Okay, so we're going to pause just briefly for a little bit of meditation on visualizing and inviting Dorje Shugden and his retinue. That's the main practice today. There'll be a few brief pauses for mantra recitation at other times. Okay, and so why don't we find a comfortable posture for meditation? You can visualize that in the space before you is Buddha Shakyamuni, surrounded by all holy beings, like the full moon surrounded by stars. We can remember those close to us in this life sitting on either side or behind us. can visualize as many beings as you like, even eventually all living beings. Knowing that Buddha has the power to liberate ourselves and all beings from the cycle of samsara. That he has the power to bestow the peace of mind that is real happiness. We can go for refuge.
I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues I collect by giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all. From the heart of the protector of the hundreds of deities of the joyful land, to the peak of a cloud which is like a cluster of fresh white curd, all-knowing Losang Drakpa, King of the Dharma, please come to this place together with your sons. In the space before me on a lion throne, lotus and moon, the venerable Gurus smile with delight. O supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please remain for 100 eons to spread the doctrine. Your mind of wisdom realizes the full extent of objects of knowledge. Your eloquent speech is the ear ornament of the fortunate. Your beautiful body is ablaze with the glory of renown. I prostrate to you, whom to see, to hear, and to remember is so meaningful. Pleasing water offerings, various flowers, sweet-smelling incense lights, scented water, and so forth. A vast cloud of offerings, both set out and imagined, I offer to you, O supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtues of body, speech, and mind I have accumulated since time without beginning, especially transgressions of my 3 vows, with great remorse I confess each one from the depths of my heart. In this degenerate age you strove for much learning and accomplishment. Abandoning the 8 worldly concerns, you made your freedom and endowment meaningful. O protector from the very depths of my heart, I rejoice in the great wave of your deeds. From the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion, in the space of your truth body, O venerable and holy Gurus, please send down a rain of vast and profound Dharma, appropriate to the disciples of this world. Through the virtues I have accumulated here, may the doctrine and all living beings receive every benefit. Especially may the essence of the doctrine of Venerable Losang Drakpa shine forever. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers, the great mountain for land, sun, and moon, seen as a Buddha land and offered thus, May all beings enjoy such pure lands. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Niryatayami. Songkapa, crown ornament of the scholars of the land of the snows. Songkapa, crown ornament of the scholars of the land of the snows. The path begins with strong reliance on my kind teacher, source of all good. Oh, bless me with this understanding to follow him with great devotion. This human life with all its freedoms extremely raw with so much meaning. Oh, bless me with this understanding all day and night to seize its essence. My body like a water bubble decays and dies so very quickly. After death come results of karma just like the shadow of a body. With this firm knowledge and remembrance bless me to be extremely cautious, always avoiding harmful actions and gathering abundant virtue. Samsara's pleasures are deceptive, give no contentment, only torment. So please bless me to strive sincerely to gain the bliss of perfect freedom. Oh, bless me so that from this pure thought come mindfulness and greatest caution, to keep as my essential practice the doctrine's root, the pratimoksha. Just like myself, all my kind mothers are drowning in samsara's ocean. Oh, so that I may soon release them, bless me to train in bodhicitta. But I cannot become a Buddha by this alone without three ethics. So bless me with the strength to practice the bodhisattva's ordination, by pacifying my distractions and analyzing perfect meanings. Bless me to quickly gain the union of special insight and quiescence. When I become a pure container through common paths, bless me to enter the essence practice of good fortune, the supreme vehicle Vajrayana. The two attainments both depend on my sacred vows and my commitments. Bless me to understand this clearly and keep them at the cost of my life. By constant practice in 4 sessions a way, explained by holy teachers. Oh, bless me to gain both the stages which are the essence of the Tantras. May those who guide me on the good path and my companions all have one life. Bless me to pacify completely all obstacles, outer and inner. May I always find perfect teachers and take delight in holy Dharma. Accomplish all grounds and pass swiftly and gain the state of Vajradhara. From the hearts of all the holy beings, streams of light and nectar flow down, granting blessings and purifying. O glorious and precious root Guru, please sit on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Please care for me with your great kindness, and grant me the blessings of your body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root Guru, please sit on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Please care for me with your great kindness, and bestow the common and supreme attainments. O glorious and precious root Guru, please sit on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Please care for me with your great kindness, and remain firm until I attain the essence of enlightenment. Through being cared for throughout all my lives by Conqueror Tsongkhapa as my Mahayana Guru, May I never turn away even for an instant from this excellent path raised by the conquerors. I have the clarity of the Yidao. Before me in the center of red and black fire and wind, on a lotus and sun trampling demons and obstructors, is a terrifying line which is powerful and alert. Upon this is the great King Dorje Shukden, the supreme heart jewel of Dharma protectors. His body is clothed in the garments of a monk, and on his head he wears a round yellow hat. His hands hold a sword and a heart of compassion. To his followers he shows an expression of delight, but to subdue demons and obstructors he displays a wrathful manner. He is surrounded by a vast assembled retinue, such as his attendant Kachimapo and so forth. Light rays from my heart inspired by the wisdom beams, from the sphere of nature and from all the different palaces where they abide. They become inseparable from the commitment being.
We can now spend some time meditating on Dorje Shukden and his retinue. We can contemplate how Tsongkhapa is a manifestation of all Buddhas. The purified five aggregates of all Buddhas, the body and mind of all Buddhas, appears as Guru Tsongkhapa, who appears as Dorje Shukden and his principal retinue deities. Dorje Shukden, 5 lineages. These 5 deities are the purified 5 aggregates of Tsongkhapa, which means that Dorje Shukden is one with all Buddhas. He is a manifestation of the completely purified body and mind of all Buddhas. He appears in this form to protect us from outer and inner obstacles, to bestow spiritual power upon us so that we gain the realizations of Tsongkhapa's Dharma. Dorje Shukden, the 5 lineages, will help us to accomplish all the attainments of pacifying, increasing, controlling, and wrathful actions, and the supreme attainment of enlightenment. The 9 great mothers in the retinue, these 9 goddesses, help us in our tantric practices by bestowing great bliss. The 8 fully ordained monks help us in our sutra practices. And the 10 wrathful deities help us in our daily activities. In reality, the emanations of Dorje Shugden and his retinue appear everywhere, constantly trying to guide, help, and protect us and all beings. With a sincere reliance upon Dorje Shugden, we will have no difficulty in developing conviction in the power of Tsongkhapa. And our practice of meditation, study, and action in daily life will become pure. And through Dorje Shugden's blessings, we will easily realize all the stages of the path of both Sutra and Tantra. He will grant us spiritual empowerment to gain all the realizations of the path. Spend a few moments meditating on Dorje Shugden and his mandala deities. Develop a special feeling of connection, faith, and to forge a strong connection with our protector, to come under his care and protection. We can now continue by making offerings and requests.
Respectfully I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. I offer a mass of inner and outer offerings, blissful toilets, alcohol, tea, cakes, milk, and curd, both actually set out and mentally imagine, filling the whole of space. Commitment fulfilling, reliance on appropriate substances, outer inner secret, attractive and cleansing offerings, filling the whole of space. I offer these to the entire assembly. May I fulfill the heart commitment and restore my broken commitments. All my harmful thoughts and actions that have offended your mind, O great protector, I confess from the depths of my heart. Please purify them swiftly and care for me with love like a mother for her child. I beseech you from the depths of my heart, O supreme deity. Please cause the tradition of Tsongkhapa to flourish. Extend the life and activities of the glorious gurus, and increase the study and practice of Dharma within the Dharma communities. Please be with me always like the shadow of my body, and grant me your unwavering care and protection. Destroy all obstacles and adverse conditions. Bestow favorable conditions and fulfill all my wishes. Now is the time to show clearly your versatile strength. Through your four actions which are swift, incisive, and unobstructed, to fulfill quickly my special heartfelt desires, in accordance with my wishes. Now is the time to distinguish the truth and falsity of actions and effects. Now is the time to dispel false accusations against the innocent. Now is the time to protect the pitiful and protectors. Now is the time to protect our practitioners as your children. In short, from now until I attain the essence of enlightenment, I shall honor you as the embodiment of my Guru, deity, and protector. Therefore, please watch over me during the 3 periods of the day and the night, and never waver in your actions as my protector. Whenever your followers with commitments request any of the 4 actions, swiftly, incisively, and without delay you show signs for all to see. So please accomplish the actions that I now request of you. The stainless sun of Jaiswankar's tradition shines throughout the sky of samsara and nirvana, eliminating the darkness of inferior and wrong paths. Please cause this light to spread and bring good fortune to all living beings. May the glorious gurus who uphold this tradition have indestructible lives as stable as the supreme victory banner. May they send down a rain of deeds fulfilling the wishes of disciples, so that Jaiswankar's doctrine will flourish. Through increasing the study, practice, pure discipline, and harmony, other communities who uphold the stainless doctrine of prayer, and who keep moral discipline with pure minds, please cause the Gen-la tradition to increase like a waxing moon. Through your actions, please fulfill the essential wishes of all practitioners who uphold the victory banner, of practicing single-pointedly the stages of the powers of Sutra and Tantra, the essence of all the teachings they have heard. Beings throughout this great earth are engaged in different actions of Dharma, non-Dharma, happiness, suffering, cause and effect. Through your skillful deeds of preventing and nurturing, please lead all beings into the good path to ultimate happiness. In particular, please destroy the obstacles and unfavorable conditions of myself and other practitioners. Increase our lives, our merit, and our resources, and gather all things animate and inanimate to be freely enjoyed. Please be with me always like the shadow of my body, and care for me always like a friend, by accomplishing swiftly whatever I wish for, and whatever I ask of you. Please perform immediately without delaying for a year or even for a month, appropriate actions to eliminate all obstacles caused by misguided beings with harmful minds who try to destroy Jaiswankar's doctrine, and especially by those who try to harm practitioners. Please remain in this place, always surrounded by most excellent enjoyments, as my guests partake continuously of dharmas and offerings, and since you are entrusted with the protection of human wealth and enjoyments, never waver as my guardian throughout the day and the night. All the attainments I desire arise from merely remembering you, O wish-fulfilling jewel, protector of the Dharma. Please accomplish all my wishes. All the attainments I desire arise from merely remembering you, O wish-fulfilling jewel, protector of the Dharma. Please accomplish all my wishes. All the attainments I desire arise from merely remembering you, O wish-fulfilling jewel, protector of the Dharma. Please accomplish all my wishes. virtue may I quickly attain the enlightened state of the Guru, and then lead every living being without exception to that ground. Through my virtues from practicing with pure motivation, may all living beings throughout all their lives never be parted from peaceful and wrathful Manjushri, but always come under their care.
Refuge and protector of all my creators, including the gods, matchless, venerable spiritual guide, supreme friend and liberator, whose nature is lost and dragged back, synthesis of all three lineages, O sublime lamp illuminating the entire universe, I request you, please bestow upon me the state of the union of Heruka, so that I will be able to benefit all living beings. You who rose from the compassion of all Buddhas to reveal to my greatest like us, who have little fortune, the path to liberation of the fortunate ones. Oh, what great good fortune to have met your precious Dharma of the oral instructions. I request you, please bestow upon me the state of the union of Heruka, so that I will be able to benefit all living beings. In these impure times you manifest as the spiritual guide, endowed with the excellence of the doctrine of Buddha, and especially the doctrine of protector Manjushri's oral lineage, exists through the kindness of the previous holy gurus. Now you reveal this excellent profound Dharma to fortunate modern Kadampa disciples. I request you, please bestow upon me the state of the union of Heruka, so that I will be able to benefit all living beings. In these degenerate times you cherish pure Buddha Dharma. You show us how to begin, make progress in, and complete our practice of Dharma, through which we will attain supreme permanent liberation and happiness, and yet, due to the strength of our worldly concerns, we are unable to repay your kindness. Oh, please be patient with
one's own purpose and the purpose of others. O Guru Samadhi Buddha Heruka, please remain at my heart forever, so that all directions will be pervaded by your matchless excellence deeds. Through the blessings of the Guru and three precious jewels, the sublime assistance of the Yidams and Dharma protectors, and our faithful heartfelt requests, may the precious doctrine of Buddha Dharma flourish forever, and may all living beings find ultimate happiness, especially through the force of the blessings of Buddha Rupa, Father and Mother, and the virtuous deeds of the great Dharma protector, Dorje Shukden. May the doctrine of the Gandhi oral lineage pervade all directions, so that each and every living being will find the supreme happiness of enlightenment.
O Guru Vajradhara, Kalpabhadra Samudra Sri Bhadra, Kelsang excellent glory, Sawa Siddhi Hum, please bestow upon me all the attainments, especially the state of the union of Haruka. O Guru Vajradhara, Kalpabhadra Samudra Sri Bhadra, Kelsang excellent glory, Sawa Siddhi Hum, please bestow upon me all the attainments, especially the state of the union of Haruka. O Guru Vajradhara, Kalpabhadra Samudra Sri Bhadra, Kelsang excellent glory, Sawa Siddhi Hum, please bestow upon me all the attainments, especially the state of the union of Haruka. Om Guru Vajradhara, Kalpabhadra Samudra Sri Bhadra, Sawa Siddhi Hum Hum.
source of all attainment. Avalokiteshvara, the treasury of unobservable compassion. Manjushri, the supreme stainless wisdom. And Vajrapani, the destroyer of the horse of Mara. O venerable Guru Buddha, synthesis of all three jewels, with my body, speech, and mind, respectfully I make request. Please grant your blessings to ripen and liberate myself and others, and bestow the common and supreme attainment. Sankapa, crown ornament of the scholars of the land of the snows. You are Buddha, Shakyamuni, and Vajradhara, the source of all attainments. Avalokiteshvara, the treasury of unobservable compassion. Manjushri, the supreme stainless wisdom. And Vajrapani, the destroyer of the horse of Mars. O venerable Guru Buddha, synthesis of all three jewels, with my body, speech, and mind, respectfully I make request. Please grant your blessings to ripen and liberate myself and others, and bestow the common and supreme attainment. Sankapa, crown ornament of the scholars of the land of the snows. You are Buddha, Shakyamuni, and Vajradhara, the source of all attainments. Avalokiteshvara, the treasury of unobservable compassion. Manjushri, the supreme stainless wisdom. And Vajrapani, the destroyer of the horse of Mars. O venerable Guru Buddha, synthesis of all three jewels, with my body,